Okay, so wow, I do not know how Tucker Carlson still has a job as a journalist. This guy is a buffoon and he needs to be cut from the internet, from speaking out to anybody. He is poisoning and giving people brain rot with the stuff that he spews out of his mouth. It's embarrassing to say the least. I feel bad for anybody that believes this guy. So I'm going to go over some clips from the Pierce Morgan interview or debate or whatever you may want to call it. But I just want to set the record straight with some of the things that Tucker Carlson was claiming about Ukraine and Zelensky that are totally inaccurate. And so, yeah, let's jump in. Okay, so here's the first clip of Tucker Carlson about to eat his words because he sounds like a moron.
Are supporting this dictator in Ukraine who's oppressing Christians, who is banning people's native language and books in their native language. He's a book burner. And that's totally cool because we hate Putin. That's not totally cool.
Okay, so back in 2023, the Ukrainian parliament did ban Russian-speaking language to minimize the influence of Russian music and through their language. Donald Trump in 2017 did something similar in the US when he banned all, I don't want to say the word because last time I did, they took down my video, all the religion that is in Iran and, Hamas and Hezbollah, that's their religion. Donald Trump banned that religion of those people from coming into the US in 2017 while we were at war with the Taliban and ISIS and all those other terrorist groups out in the Middle East. So the fact that that's a step that the Ukrainian government had to take in order to protect their people from being influenced in a negative way, that is totally normal. And it is a smart move because the crazy thing is Tucker Carlson is probably Trump's biggest fan, if not one of them for sure. That guy is riding on his you know what, and so clearly he doesn't remember that. He doesn't want to bring that part up because Donald Trump did something very similar to what Zelensky and their parliament did last year. Oh, I'm sorry. Now we're in 2025. In 2023. Now let's move to clip number 2 that is even dumber than the first one.
So would you just let Putin take Ukraine?
I would say let's have an election in Ukraine and let the Ukrainian people elect their own leader.
Well, how exactly would Tucker Carlson expect Ukraine to have presidential elections when they're in a state of war? Russia occupies almost 20% of their country. How is that even possible to open up polling stations in the occupied areas of Ukraine? That is not even realistic, and he sounds just dumb. I mean, he sounds delusional. I don't understand what his problem is and how he would expect there to be elections in the country of Ukraine when 20% of its country is being occupied by the Russian Federation. That is just absurd and dumb, to say the least.
And get rid of the midget dictator who now oppresses them, Zelensky.
I think it's pretty obvious that Tucker Carlson is super bitter that Zelensky shut down any interviews that they were trying to have with him because Zelensky is a very intelligent person and he knows the game that Tucker Carlson is trying to play. So he shut that interview request down, rightfully so. This guy's a propagandist. He's a tool and he's a puppet of Vladimir Putin. So it's no surprise, and it was absolutely in Ukraine's best interest that Zelensky shut down that offer to have an interview with Tucker Carlson because he would have twisted everything around and made it to be some crazy story that didn't even happen or facts that he pulled out of his you know what. So anyways, it's an obvious thing that he's clearly bitter that other people are getting interviews with him and he's Tucker Carlson, the one and only, is not.
And I would definitely not support a guy who's not elected as a Democratic figure because by definition, he's not. By definition. I don't care who his enemies are. He's not worth calling a beacon of democracy if he doesn't even have why not have an election?
By definition, President Zelensky is a beacon of democracy. That man won the presidential election in 2019 with over 73% of the votes in Ukraine. He won fair and square. It was no coup. It was no conspiracy. We didn't plant him in there. He won that presidential election against Poroshenko fair and square, plain and simple. And I'm almost certain he would probably win whenever this war does end. He probably, if he does run again, he definitely should win a second election. But regardless, he won the 2019 presidential election fair and square. There's no disputing that.
Like, why not hold him to democratic standards?
I've got no problem with saying he should have an election.
What about banning a Christian denomination?
Right there, he's referring to the fact that Ukraine's parliament outlawed the Russian Orthodox Church being practiced in Ukraine. And the reason for that was their ties that they had to the Russian Federation's military. They were giving away positions to Ukrainian military bases. They were basically like a Trojan horse in Ukraine. They were far behind enemy lines, and they were giving critical information that were harming and killing Ukrainian military citizens. So that's why Ukraine outlawed the Russian Orthodox Church. That was basically like a front, you know. They're not a legit church, to put it in, you know, simple terms. They're very corrupt. So I'm surprised that Ukraine's government didn't outlaw the Russian Orthodox Church years ago, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't agree with any of those things.
Well, how could we ever support that?
Because ultimately,
We're paying for that.
Because ultimately, we have to make a calculation about whether we're happy with Russia invading what is a sovereign European democratic country.
It was not a sovereign country. It was controlled by the United States.
God, what is this guy's problem? How does he not realize that these people are two different peoples? Ukrainian people and Russian people are completely different people. They have their own languages. They have their own cultures. They are not the same people, and they are a sovereign country. And Russia invaded it. And so, I mean, come on, get real. This guy's, oh man, this guy's something else.
Well, they installed their government in a coup in 2014. But they're a puppet of the United States and Great Britain.
But they
so
are
they're not sovereign.
Do you think they're a democracy?
Well, their leader's not elected, so by definition, they're not a democracy.
If he wasn't elected, then what in the hell kind of elections did they hold in 2019? And how did he just so publicly throughout, I mean, the whole entire international community acknowledged, yep, Zelensky won. How is he not elected? What is this guy's deal? What is he even talking about? What is he referring to? This guy, man, is, my God, I'm dead. This guy's just absolutely out of control with the lies.
In Ukraine today, because we've got a war. We had elections in our country during the Second World War, so did you.
And second of all, Britain did not hold elections in Europe until after Hitler had already unalived himself and the war was coming to an end. It was already at a conclusion. Therefore, it was safe for them to have elections in Britain. Plus, their country wasn't under siege like Ukraine is. I mean, they are bombed every day all over their country. That was not the case in Britain in 1945 when they ultimately did hold general elections. So, again, this is just another example of Tucker Carlson twisting the truth just to fit whatever story it is that he's trying to put out there. So, anyways, that's going to do it for me. I just thought I would make this quick video because it just really, really bothered me and ruined my night just to see the level of stupidity that gets out to so much of the world. So anyways, I hope everybody has a great rest of their weekend, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.